Hey Jews, we're going to continue reading the book of Esther from Loaz. We're trying to understand our reality by learning the wisdom of God and understanding how what we learn is relevant for us in our time, and how the opportunities that we have in our time are also related to spiritual energies that are available. So we are focusing on March 13th, the 13th of Adar, which is the fast of Esther, which is a spiritually auspicious time for the Jews to repent and to return to God. We understand that this whole creation was created with wisdom. We understand that in order to have an understanding of the wisdom, we have to have first knowledge of that information, which is in the Torah. And we have to obtain a high enough spiritual level. Our soul needs to be purified to a certain extent that we will understand the wisdom. So understanding our reality, just the physical part, the material part, the part that we can experience, that's this kind of level of understanding. And I think after the events of our recent history, there should be a lot of questions as if to, do we really understand our material, physical level of reality? Do we understand that? Is the information that we have of knowledge of, have we based our belief system or our faith in, have we put our faith in the right things? Those are some things that we should be asking ourselves, especially as Jews now, this year, 5785, which is in the period of the end times. And I've gone over this so many, I think the 12 people that are watching this series, thank you very much, by the way. We've already explained this, so we're just gonna try to keep moving on. Now, what I can say is that over time, we know that the spiritual level of the nation, the holy nation that's supposed to be following these laws in order to keep our souls pure and holy, in order that we will have any of this higher understanding of the wisdom, because it is in fact this knowledge of this wisdom that we should be building our belief systems on. And when we do understand reality based on the wisdom, and that's our belief system, we can start now to understand what it means to have faith in God, in the Torah, in the holy nation of Israel, and all of the smarter, more spiritually elevated people that came in our past. So if this is us here now at the end time, 5785, we're at a very low level of spirituality. Conversely, in this time, we are in a higher level of technology and science. So it's upside down, because the information and knowledge that should be guiding reality, and especially the holy nation, all of the Jews, the information that we are supposed to be understanding and basing our belief systems on, is not what we can measure and understand and trust the science and all of that stuff. Our understanding, our belief system is based on the knowledge of the wisdom, on the understanding of the wisdom that God created the reality by. And we also know that there are laws in place, and God created the reality with wisdom. There's cause and effect that happen. When the Jews do not learn the Torah and uphold the laws of the Torah, then our spiritual level falls over time, and all of that light that should have, all of the spiritual light that should have come into our world to go towards our spiritual level to keep it high. Because again, we need both an intellectual, like a conscious level plus a higher spiritual level that would equal a God awareness. Because currently, we cannot perceive God on this level of understanding. We can't test something. We have no conclusive evidence that with our physical body, meaning our physical eyes and our brain and our whatever, we can't experience God. If we experience some sort of tangible aspect of spirituality, probably at this time, we can just assume that it's not from the holy side, okay? So it's not from the holy side. We are at the end of time. We are at a very, very, very low spiritual level. Back then at the first temple, they could perceive a high spiritual level of our reality. All of the light that was coming in to fuel that information was going from the Jews in the first temple, and it was keeping us at a high spiritual level, and to the point where there were trees that would give a golden fruit. This is a story, this is a concept, that the concept is that if we were at a very high spiritual level, seeing something like a tree in the temple that gave golden fruit at the right time, just like a tree in our physical reality would give like an apple at the right time. So in the spiritual level of reality, we experience that even in a physical reality where we saw, and the Kohanim there would sell that golden apple. So that's the level of, we should be able to see that if we were at a high spiritual level. But because we're at such a low spiritual level, we're seeing increases in technology. All of that light that's coming in to either fuel this or this is going here. And it's going here because the Jews are not keeping the Torah laws, not learning the Torah in order to understand the wisdom for the right reason. So again, we're reading the Megillah, not just to read it, not just to celebrate Purim every year. Like, are you happy celebrating Purim, Jews? Does that make you happy? I mean, we don't actually, yes, after the redemption, we will still celebrate Purim, but we're not doing these holidays just to keep doing them until we die. Like, we should actually be thinking about rebuilding the temple. We should actually be thinking about having a high enough consciousness and a high enough spiritual level in order to have God awareness. That is the point of being a Jew. That's the point, is to understand the wisdom. We don't need godly wisdom to tell us obvious things in our reality. We don't need godly wisdom, and we don't need the godly wisdom written in the Torah for the nation in order to point out the fact that Zionism is not Judaism. The Goyim are also telling us that Zionism is not Judaism. We can see that Zionists have laws that are not the Torah laws. They have laws that are opposite the Torah laws. The Zionist state of Israel is one of the most gay-friendly places on earth. The Holy Land is now the surprising refuge for LGBTQ. That's not holy. We don't need the Torah to tell us that's not holy. We don't need godly wisdom to tell us that that's not holy. He wrote it down there in the Torah that it's an abomination. So when we see in our time such a low level that these rabbis that are telling us that Zionism is not Judaism. Great, thank you very much. Thank you for telling us the most basic level understanding that even the Goyim are telling us. And you are calling yourself a Gaon Shlita. Everyone is a genius telling us the most basic understanding of the story these days, when a genius really was somebody who was at a high spiritual whatever that could interpret this wisdom that we don't need the Goyim to tell us. Also, we don't need the wisdom of the Torah to tell you to not steal your neighbor's parking spot every single time. That's common courtesy. That's common courtesy. You don't see that anywhere else but religious areas in the land of Israel with these genius rabbis running the show. We have to understand at some point that we are doing all these things not to just do them. We're doing them to get a result. And the result that we want is actually the redemption. How do we do that? We do exactly the exact same thing that they did initially in Purim, in the middle of our story. We finally understand that the Jews are not supposed to just be here like every other nation, just going to Eurovision and singing the Song of Songs. That's not understanding anything. What we need to understand is that the Jews are separate. We're different. We have these laws, the Torah laws. When we uphold these laws, then we will be redeemed, which is what we want. We don't want to just keep going on and on and on and on and on in this reality, which is hostile to the Jews. We don't want to just make them put in, anti-Semitic laws not allow them to tell us that Zionism isn't Judaism. We want to just shut everybody up because they're anti-Semitic means they're not telling the truth. That's not true. That's not true. They're literally telling us sometimes the truth, sometimes not, but anyway.